This playthrough is rated M for mature.
Greetings and salutations, viewers. Well, we're back with Hakuōki, Stories of the Shinsengumi. In the last episode, we had saved that girl, and we had talked about like what was going on in the world, and we found out Sanin is getting a little bit more crazy because of the water life, and we found out that maybe Okada might be considering using the water life, and all that other stuff. But now, it's near the end of the year, and we must deal with the politics of the world and other such things. Let's begin. Oh, hello, Kondo. It's really gotten cold lately, hasn't it?
今日に来てからずいぶん経つが、この寒さにはどうも慣れんな。
Oh, yes, it has indeed. I've been in Kyoto a while now, but I still can't get used to the weather. He rubbed his hands together and blew on them, in a mostly vain attempt to warm them. I picked up a bunch of dead leaves, so I was thinking about roasting potatoes later. Would you like some? They'll warm you up. Kondo gave me a little wry smile.
焼き芋か。昔はよくやったもんだが。
Roasted potatoes, huh? I used to enjoy that a long time ago. Oh. I flushed with embarrassment. Kondo was a busy man. Management of the Shinsengumi was not easy. A man like that didn't have time for roasted potatoes. You've been really busy lately. I hope you're taking care of yourself.
まあ、こういう時代だからな。
Alright.
忙しいってことは、それだけ新選組が頼りにされてるってことだ。名誉なことさ。
Well, if I'm busy, then that means that the Shinsengumi is needed. It's an honor. True. In the last several weeks, Kondo and Hijikata had left the temple often to go meet with important shogunate officials. They probably scarcely had time to breathe, let alone relax. At that moment, almost as if my thoughts had summoned him, Hijikata appeared.
Oh, Kondo-san, こんなところにいたのか。
There you are, Kondo.
おお、トシ、どこに行ってたんだ。探したぞ。
Oh, Toshi, where were you? I was looking for you.
次の将軍がだな。家持将軍の後見人だった一橋慶喜公に決まったようだ。
They've chosen the next shogun. It's going to be Lord Yoshinobu Tsubashi. Hijikata's brow furrowed to what I wouldn't have hesitated to describe as a glower.
ま、噂通りの人物ならいいんだがな。
Him, huh? Well, let's hope he lives up to the rumors.
お前はどうしてそう素直に受け取れないかね。
Must you find a dark side to everything? Who's Lord Tsubashi? I had a vague memory that he was the commander of the shogunate forces during the Battle of Hamaguri Gate, but Kondo gave me a quick explanation of the
あの
rest.
方は家康公の再来って呼ばれてるほど英明な方らしい。
Ooh, excuse me, I don't know why I yawned there for a second. Weird sleeping habits recently. They say that he is very intelligent. Some even going so far as to call him the second coming of Lord Ieyasu. He glanced over at Hijikata, perhaps looking for corroboration. He found none.
頭の回転も速く、天使様の信頼も厚い。言うことねえじゃねえか。
At any rate, he has a quick mind, and the Emperor trusts him. How could he be a poor choice? There was a certain pride at Kondo's voice, almost as if he were talking about a friend or brother. If what he said was true, though, then perhaps the shogun would be able to unite the shogunate and the imperial court, and overcome the crisis that was destroying our nation.
頭がいいってのは認めるがね。
Alright, he's smart. I'll give him that.
まだなんか引っかかるのか？
Then what's the problem?
まあいい。将軍が誰になろうが、俺たちはその将軍の下で戦うだけだ。
Forget it. Doesn't matter who fights, the shogun is to us anyway. We're just here to fight.
そうだな。俺たちが頑張れば、それだけ将軍様も徳川幕府も安泰ってわけだ。
That's right. If we do our best, that means the shogun and the shogunate are safe and secure. He kept his tone carefully light, perhaps in an attempt to sway Hijikata, but to no avail. Only 20 days after Lord Shinobu had been officially inaugurated as the new shogun, the emperor passed away. It was especially hard on the emperor's younger sister, Kazunomiya, who had been married to Lord Lemochi and was intended to be a symbol of the imperial unification, but everyone on both sides was shocked by his death. Imperial unification, a political movement that sought to unify the upper echelons of the shogunal and imperial classes. Lemochi Tokugawa married the sister of the emperor as part of this movement. He was succeeded by the Imperial Prince, a young boy of only 15 years. In the turmoil, the activities of the Chozo domain went uninvestigated. The entire country of Japan found itself thrust into rapid motion. Chapter 3. April 1867. Another 4 months later. Man, time just goes by in this game. Then again, it's not like we had to watch every single... Oh, God. Keep pressing that button. The seasons changed and spring came. Kyoto was filled with the cherry blossoms, and the whole city took on a festive atmosphere. Surrounded by the gentle cheer of spring, my footsteps felt somehow lighter. Okita watched me prance about with a crooked smile.
いいよ、急がなくたって。どこか行くあてがあるわけじゃないしね。
You don't need to hurry. We aren't going anywhere in particular.
散歩だと思ってゆっくり行けばいいよ。
Just think of it as a nice, relaxing walk. Okay, I'll be careful. It seemed to me that it was dangerous for a captain of the Shinsengumi to think that when he was out on patrol, but I didn't dare say anything to Okita. Then again, things had been pretty quiet lately. Perhaps he was right. No, I told myself I had to focus. Now was not the time or the place for high spirits. Nearby, I noticed a few ronin who'd slunk off into the side streets at the first glimpse of the Shinsengumi. How suspicious. Why run away unless they knew they were guilty of something? I stared after them intently and must have looked as if I was about to give chase because Okita gave a bark of laughter.
あのね、いちいちそんなのに反応していてもしょうがないから。
Don't waste your energy on them. They're small potatoes. Really?
もし本当に聴衆あたりの患者だったら、もっと堂々としているはずだよ。
If they were Chosu guys, then they wouldn't have just run off like that. They'd be more confident.
僕らの姿を見て慌てて動くような連中は正直言って雑魚かな。
The guys who take off like that when they show up are almost always just small-time punks. I see. I didn't.
少しは悪さをしているのかもしれないけどね。逃げた理由は大方この羽織が目に入ったからだと思うよ。
They're probably guilty of something, maybe some minor crime, but the blues scare off a lot of people like that these days. The uniform's gotten pretty famous around Kyoto, hasn't it?
逆に目立って困ることが多くなってるけどね。
Well, it could be infamous, depending on who you ask. It was true, the Shinsengumi blues brought recognition, but that was a double-edged sword. Sometimes they commanded obedience or respect, but sometimes the response was less pleasant. Their uniform had become a symbol, but there was some argument among the Shinsengumi as to whether or not they should adopt a new uniform. Some people, such as Ito, just felt that the uniform should be changed because it wasn't fashionable. Is Ito back from the Imperial territories yet?
そうみたいだね。帰ってこなくても一向に構わなかったんだけど。
Yeah, I think so. Can't say I'd have minded if he had stayed out there, though. He went to go recruit some of his friends and acquaintances, right?
っていう話だけど、果たしてあの人どこまで行ってきたのかな。
That's what he says, but I gotta wonder how far he really went, you know? How far? What do you mean? If he went out past the Imperial territories, then he must really care about the Shinsengumi, right? After all, to go that far would be quite a trip to make just to get more recruits. Okita, however, didn't seem to think so.
君はそう思ってるんだ。
That's what you think? Am I wrong?
違わないけどね。
No, not really. Okita stopped and gazed off into space for a moment. When he spoke, it was to himself.
近藤さんは優しいからな。伊藤さんなんて早く切っちゃえばいいのに。
Kondo's too nice. He should just kill Ito. Okita. He had a tendency to talk of killing too easily and too lightly, but... How could you joke about killing one of your companions? He let his eyes slide to mine and gave me a small smile.
どうしね。
A companion, huh? The scorn in his voice wasn't for me, it was for Ito. Ever since he had first arrived, Okita and the rest of the captains had never seemed to like Ito much, but I was surprised that he would say something like that where anyone could have heard. I glanced around to make sure no one had been paying attention. Oh, that one lady, we hadn't seen her in forever. What? There in the crowd, a face I'd seen before. Kairu? The face that looked back could have easily have been mine. There was no way I could have ever mistaken that face. No sooner had I spotted her than she disappeared, melting into the crowd. Kairu!
ちょっと
Hey! No. Hey! He made a grab for my arm, but it already moved out of his reach. I might get in trouble for it, but if I didn't go quickly, I'd lose her. Sorry, Okita, there's something I have to do. I caught a glimpse of his confused face as I ducked into the crowd.
勝手な行動は慎めっていつも言ってると思うんだけど、まったくこっちの身にもなってほしいな。
How many times do I have to tell her not to run off without permission? Why can't she look at this from my point of view? I ran through the crowd as fast as I could, bobbing and weaving around citizens going about their business, until at last I caught up to her. She was Kairu, no mistake. Kairu, do you remember me? God, it was like a year ago since you last met her. I'm surprised she even remembers.
新選組の人と一緒にいた人ですよね。
Yeah, you were with the sorry. Yeah, you were with the Shinsengumi. I remember you. She looked surprised.
急に声を上げて追ってくるものだからびっくりしたじゃないですか。
You ran after me so suddenly it scared me. I'm sorry about that, but there's something I wanted to ask you. I realized belatedly that I didn't know what I planned to do with her answer once I had it, but I knew I had to ask. One of the Shinsengumi saw a girl who looked like me at the Sanjo Ohashi Bridge a while ago. Could that have been you?
そう。三条大橋は普通に通るところですよ。そこに行って何か問題でも？
I don't know. I don't go by Sanji Ohashi fairly often. Is that a problem? She laughed politely. Oh.
もしかしてあなたが聞きたいのは夜に行ったことがあるかどうかじゃない
Did
で
you
す
want
か？
to ask if I had been there at night? Could it be? Could Kairu really have been the girl who interrupted the Shinsengumi that night? If it was an autumn night and you got in the Shinsengumi's way.
もしそうなら問題大ありだね。君には死んでもらうことになるけど。
And apparently maybe she's a ninja who works for that one dude. Then you and I are going to need to have a little talk. I don't want to give away all the details, but it ends with your death. Oh, Okita. I hadn't realized he caught up with me so quickly.
あら、新選組の沖田さんじゃありませんか。いつぞやはどうもありがとうございました。
The other day, wasn't that like a year ago? I don't think that's the other day. Oh, you're Okita from the Shinsengumi. Thanks for your help for me the other day. She bowed, but Okita didn't even seem to notice.
で、答えはどっち？心当たりはあるの？ないの？
So you gonna answer the question? Were you there that night? Okita wore the same half smile he always did, but his body was as tight as a bowstring, ready to have his blade in hand at a moment's notice.
死んでもらうなんてそんな怖いことを言わないでくださいな。
My death. Please don't say such scary things like that.
三条大橋なんて昼間は誰でも通るところじゃないですか。
Lots of people pass by Sanjo Ohashi during the day.
それに夜なんてあの警察騒ぎで怖くて近づけやしません。
At night, though, I don't go near it because of the notice board stuff. It was almost as if she'd read my mind.
なのにただ顔が似てるというだけで私を疑うなんてひどいです。そんなことを知りません。
I can't believe you'd suspect me just because my face happens to look like someone else's. I don't know anything. Oh, of course I understand. She looked so sad. I felt I had to say something. I knew it wasn't you. After all, how could a normal girl do anything to the men of the Shinsengumi? You give your sex too little credit. Okita seemed less convinced. His eyes shifted to me.
どうしてそう思うの？女の人だから？それとも自分と似てるから？
And why do you say that? Because she's a girl? Or because she looks like you? No, that's not it. I couldn't bring myself to admit that he was exactly right. I'd assumed Kiori couldn't have possibly done it simply because she was a girl. And that's true as well, you can't assume
もう
things.
行ってもいいですか？それじゃあ私失礼します。
Can I go now? Excuse me. Kairu. She turned and ducked away, disappearing back into the crowd. Had I done the right thing, I wonder, in covering for her? I was pondering whether or not I should give chase again when I heard Okita begin to cough. Okita, are you okay? He was bent nearly double and coughing uncontrollably, his entire body shaking with each cough. Okita! Stand back! As I stepped towards him, he threw out a hand and twisted his face upward to glare at me. What?
大丈夫だから君はそこでじっとしていて
I'm fine. Just stay there, okay? It was the sheer force of his personality that stopped me, not just his words. After a while, his coughing slowed, then subsided entirely. Okita, is something wrong?
何か
Like what? When he turned to look at me this time, his sardonic half-smile was back. He looked every part the usual Okita, except that he had grown frightfully pale. I mean, why don't we find somewhere to rest? You looked like you were in a lot of pain.
君のせいでここまで走らされたからねそれで疲れただけだよ
Oh, I was just tired. I mean, you did make me run all the way here. But...
もう大丈夫さ落ち着いたからそれよりも
No buts. I'm fine now. His expression was suddenly hard.
彼女カオルさんのことだけど生殺事件のことを確かめたかった気持ちはわかる大事なことだからね
About the girl. Asking her about the thing with the notice board was important. I agree with you. Good then. We needed to know if she was an enemy of the Shinsengumi or not. I needed to know.
でもそれならなおのこと一人で動くべきじゃない敵が現れたら君一人で対処できる
But even, no. Because of how important that is, you shouldn't have run off on your own like that. What if she had been an enemy of ours? Could you have handled her? Well...
無用の心配だったって言い切れる彼女が君をおびき寄せるつもりだったとしたらこの場所は格好の襲撃場所だよ
Did you even consider that possibility? That she'd planned to lure you here? It's a great spot for an ambush, you know. You're right. She hadn't tried to attack me, but Okita was right. Next time I might not be so lucky. I could have easily run right into a trap.
一緒にいる以上行動には注意してもらわないと自分は役立たずの子供だって自覚しなよ
You need to be more careful, right? I can take care of you, but without me around, you're just a useless kid. Damn, boy. Sorry. The Shinsengumi had done so much for me. I just wanted to give something back. Instead, it only caused more trouble for them.
やれやれお説教はここまで
Alright, lecture's over. Okita looked tired and more than a little frustrated. I tried to apologize again, but he cut me off.
妙な遠慮はやめなよ頼るべきときは頼ればいいんだからさ
Stop being so timid. You can rely on us when you need
まあ
to.
今さら迷惑だなんて思わないからさ散々かけっぱなしだからね
I've gotten pretty used to saving your ass at this point. A couple more times isn't going to mean much. He let out a snort of laughter. That night, after everyone else had gone to bed, I lay awake thinking about what had happened. I couldn't forget what Okita had said. A useless kid. He was right. Compared to the captains, no, even compared to the weakest Shinsengumi foot soldiers, I was pathetic. There was nothing I could do for them. It wasn't as if I had tried to imagine myself as some sort of warrior, but to have my lack of worth so bluntly stated was something of a blow. Okay. I lay there staring at the ceiling. I couldn't go on like this. Tomorrow, I start working harder. I didn't want to run off on more pointless adventures that did nothing more than cause trouble. That meant I needed to develop better judgment. Not if the dice have anything to say about it. And if I'm going to do that, I need my sleep. But no sooner had I closed my eyes. What? There was a crash from the hallway outside my room. I rolled up and out of my bed just as the door exploded into my room. Standing in the hole was one of the Shinsengumi soldiers. Is something wrong? It was dark, inside and out, and I couldn't see his face. He just stood there. I felt a chill run up my spine. Did you need something? Blood! I need blood! Oh! He was one of the Furies. Give me blood! I could see how his face was twisted in madness, and his eyes shone like twin fires in the night. His hair glistened white in the moonlight. He was a member of the Fury Corps, and he was utterly and completely mad. I had to call for help. I couldn't possibly face a deranged superhuman monster on my own. No, I couldn't call for help. If I did, then the secret of Furies would get out. That would be bad for the Shinsengumi. I had to find another way. The Fury, unfortunately, was not similarly uncovered by doubts. Oh! His sword hissed through the air, and I felt the metal of its blade burn into my flesh, the flesh on my arm. Oh! Blood sprang from the cut. I pressed down on it desperately with my free hand, but to no avail. Thick, red liquid spilled between my fingers, fled down my arm and onto the floor. Yes, blood! Give me blood! He began to creep towards me, his movements odd and jerky, like a massive spider. I backed away from him until I felt my back hit the wall. I was gonna die. Suddenly, I remembered Okuda's words from earlier that day.
妙な遠慮はやめなよ。頼るべきときは頼ればいいんだからさ。
Stop being so timid. You can rely on us when you need to. That was it then. That was it then. My death wasn't worth their secret. Someone help! Blood! Blood! He was down on his hands and knees, licking my spilt blood on off the floor. There was no samurai here. There wasn't even a person in him anymore. The blood on the floor had distracted him, but I knew that would only last precious seconds. But help didn't arrive soon. The seconds went by hours. Please, I beg to. Any god who might be listening, let someone come. Will someone come? Who comes? Is our main character gonna be killed by the Fury Corps, or will a dauntless metrosexual male hero come in to save the day? Find out next time on Hakuōki Stories of the Shinsengumi. Thanks for watching. Hope you enjoyed. I'll see you in the next episode.